Welcome back to the Universally Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Jay, and today I'm joined by Sam. Sam?
Are you the host? Are you the host? Am I the
Well,
host?
you can do the intro if you want, Sam. Have you got
Nah,
an
I'm all
intro?
right. Yeah.
Oh, you have got one.
Welcome
Okay.
to no. Welcome to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Banter podcast where dreams come true.
You had to
No,
go there,
I
didn't you?
haven't. Yeah. I haven't got an intro. You go.
I mean, that was the intro. I'll just
Is that where we're going?
yeah. So today we're doing my trip report episode. Obviously, Sam got a trip report episode, so I felt it was only fair that I got one, considering I went for quite a long time as well. So it was um, worthwhile, I think. You've got a lot of
Yeah, and
questions,
I think
Sam, as well.
so many questions, so many low quality questions, and maybe the a good one along the way. So, but I thought we just the difference in approaches. Obviously, we were chatting continuously through my trip. You had literally second by second updates on what was going through my head, versus I only found out quite a bit about your epic trip today in the podcast. So, yeah, I'm excited to ask some questions, find out some more.
I kept very quiet, didn't I? I kept very quiet on our podcast group chat because otherwise, then nothing would be a surprise. So
Well, let's hope there's some surprises tonight then.
always surprises with us too.
I was very surprised at what your number two was in Epic Universe, but I'm sure we'll get there later on anyway.
Yes, I bet that's taken a lot of people by surprise, me included. None more so than myself.
A proud father, Jay. I've seen you mature into the wonderful man that you now are.
And as you know, with my lists, they're not chosen lightly. I spend a lot of time tinkering and thinking about those. Even the flight home, the 7.5 hours flight home, I was thinking about it, and I
I
was
would
like,
I would love to know if we're talking all things trip report, like how much overthinking you did either before the trip, on the trip, after the trip that just didn't come to fruition at all.
I'm a serial overthinker. I can't help it. It's just who I
There
am.
we go.
I wish I wasn't. It'd be a lot easier. My whole life, excluding Universal, will be a lot easier. But there we go.
At least I know your top fives are on point because you've literally spent like 19 hours
Exactly.
pondering over it.
I do
Yeah.
change them after that as well, though. They do change hourly.
Yeah, and then you don't release a podcast till a month later when it's out of date.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's probably
And then
changed by now.
overthinking, do I release it? Do I not release it? What do I do?
Exactly. Enough about my stupid brain anyway. Have you got some questions?
I have got some questions. So the way I thought we could do this is we could split it up into a few different categories, and then go through them kind of one by one. So I thought start off with travel, then go on to the original parks. I don't know what we're going to call them. I know you've referred to them as the OG parks. I think
It's weird, isn't
Universal
it?
referred to it as the Northern Campus.
Is that what they
I don't know.
say? I've
That's what
not
I've
heard
heard. I
that
don't
one
know if that's what
before.
they say. That's what people say they say.
All right,
The
I've not heard
legacy
that one.
parks, the originals, I don't know.
Yeah, the OG parks, I think I
We got
quite
the
like.
okay. We're down with the kids. No worries. So once we've talked a little bit about that, I think let's cover off Epic very briefly, go on to some of the hotels, and then yeah, let's just general high quality questions
Quick
like,
fire.
did you talk to your Lyft driver?
Is that the first question or is that?
It wasn't going to be, but yeah, let's do it. Did you? I know there's the suspense. I know that was like the first question on the pre-trip report. So come on, give us an update. How was that Lyft drive?
No, I didn't speak to him.
You
There
didn't.
you go. No, I mean, usually I engage in conversation if they start a conversation. That's pretty standard for Lyft and Uber drivers in the States, I think. If they come across as conversational, then obviously you reciprocate that, but no.
Fair. That's fair. Right. Well, I'm going to go on to the first real question then. So, like I said, we're going to start with travel. And I know you mentioned that you were going Aer Lingus for the first time, flying into Terminal C, which I don't know how old Terminal C is now. It still feels new to me. I don't know if it is still new in the
It
grand
looks
scheme of
very
things,
new,
but I guess
yeah.
it was. Yeah, yeah, that's good. So I guess how did you find them both? You know, how was that experience of heading out to Orlando first of all?
Yeah, it was great to be honest. I've got no complaints, and like I say, Aer Lingus for the first time. Usually go Virgin, but no, Aer Lingus was great. Um, no complaints at all. The main thing for me when flying all that way is leg room for me. Being 6'2", it's obviously a long way to be long time to be sat down in a confined space. But the leg room was a lot better than Virgin. I don't know if it was because
Okay.
I don't know if I paid for a legroom seat. I don't know because I paid for my seat so we could be together, so we could make sure we'd be together beforehand. But I don't think I paid for like an extra legroom seat. So I don't know. But anyway, the legroom was really good. I remember getting on the Virgin plane 2 years ago, and I was cramped, like my legs were banging into the back of the seat in front of me. But no, so it was a pleasant relief, especially as everyone knows now I don't like flying. So when I got on the plane, I sat down. I had a bit of breathing space, which was nice, and yeah, it was all great. And as you mentioned, Terminal C for the first time, which was so cool. Like to the point in which I think you might ask me in a minute, but I would choose Aer Lingus again just to go
Uh,
to.
you're futuristic. Have you seen into my screen?
I can guess the questions.
Can you? It's almost like I sent them to you ahead of time.
Don't ruin it. Um, but no, like I would choose Aer Lingus again just for going into Terminal C. Like
Wow.
it was that lavish and just that modern compared to the old terminal that it was just so fresh and grand compared to the OG terminal, should we call it?
Is that the
Um,
term now? From this point onwards, the OG.
yeah. Have you
So I
done?
know you kind of said you didn't have any kind of complaints, but I think Ella was overly happy with the alcohol situation. Is that right?
Oh yes, I don't want to expose it too much, but yeah, I think with Virgin, obviously everything's free. Like you just get asked for any kind of drinks or food, it all just keeps coming at you. And she wasn't used to long haul in the past. She was only kind of introduced to the long haul flying situation when she met me. And the first time she was like, I can't believe how much food and drink you get. Like,
She's been
you get
spoiled.
ice cream, get all sorts. But obviously, I think Aer Lingus, you get like one alcoholic beverage with a meal, but that's about it.
They were just getting you ready for the epic prices, weren't they, of beers
Yeah,
and how expensive that
they
was going
are.
to be.
They are steep. They are steep. I mean, beers in Florida in general, like even at Surfside, we'll probably go on to it, but in a crazy amount for
And they're
like
not
two
even like
beers.
a pint, not even a pint either. That's the
No,
worst. It's
like
not only like being
medium
bent over
cups.
backwards on the price, but yeah. As I say, we're booked with Virgin in August, and that's generally our go-to airline as well. But yeah, Aer Lingus is on the radar, so that is good to hear. Now, one of the other things, which is probably a bit of a weird thing to appeal to me about flying into a certain airport, but the Universal store in Terminal C, like with the dragon and the ceiling
Hmm.
and things like, looks 10 times better than what you've got in the OG terminal.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you went into that Universal store, but how was it if you did?
I did go in there, yeah. Obviously, I was very sad at that point, so I wasn't kind of in the best of moods because my trip was over. But no, it was very cool. As people have seen, obviously, it's got the Hagrid's ride vehicle in there. See the dragon as you go up the stairs, and it breathes fire like all across the ceiling, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a store. It's a really cool store. But I was sad, so
Yeah, that's
and I've just been groped by a security man at the at the
I'd forgotten all that.
TSA.
Right, go on, enlighten us.
You
Tell
did.
tell us all the details.
I don't. Yeah, just quickly again. People that follow me on the page will have seen this story because I post everything on there anyway. However, yes. So the scanning machines at the security at MCO. I had gym wear on. I had loose shorts, a loose shirt, nothing else on me at all. And the scanning machine went off like on my waist, like hip groin area, and like
Is that piercing?
they were like, right, the alarm's gone off here and here. I was like, what do you mean the alarm's gone off? And then this really old man was like, I need to do a thorough search on the area. We could do this in private or out here. I mean, that's not a question you want, is it?
And he took his belt off, undid his zip.
It's a good job I didn't say private because it could have gone further. And look, I know he was doing his job, and obviously alarm went off for whatever reason, whether it was my pocket zip, who knows. But yeah, he wasn't gentle, so going to that Universal store, I wasn't in the best the best of moods, let's say, because just being touched up by a 70-year-old man. But yeah, yeah, it was an interesting experience. It's not one I want to repeat personally. Yeah. So you asked me about the store. Yeah, it was cool.
Just not quite as exciting as the security guard having a fondle.
No,
Fair enough. So I
it
think
was
we should
more than
probably
a
move on quite
fondle.
quick. Terminal C, yeah, it was Terminal C, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a hit. Aer Lingus was a hit. I think let's talk theme parks. Let's talk Universal. So let's start with the originals, the OGs. And one of the biggest things that took me by surprise following along on Instagram was how at the start of the trip it was like, I'm going to force myself onto this coaster. I'm going to do it again. And by the end of the trip, it was like, who is this guy? Probably rode more coasters on your trip than I probably did across mine. So I know you're going to do a separate episode on that at
Mhm.
some point in the future, kind of go into a bit more detail there. But I guess just a general question, and then we'll move on to another area of like, how different does Universal Orlando Resort feel now, knowing you've got a few more rides and that are completely different, maybe to the attractions you've been enjoying for the last few trips?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's still so surreal to me. I know that it's kind of a weird situation for people like yourselves who have ridden coasters for so long. And like you mentioned, I'm gonna do a separate episode in the future because I feel like it deserves it. It's a good topic, but people that love coasters and have done for all their lives, I think they somewhat struggle to think about when people have a real issue with like getting over their mind and battling their mind to get on these coasters. It's crazy to me. Like I said, my like top five lists have been turned upside down now. Like my whole thought process is completely different in terms of how I view Universal. I'm 31. I've finally done it. I've finally conquered them all. Um, so yeah, it's still weird. Like it's a shame that it was at the back end of my trip where I truly felt that I'd like conquered them all. And as everyone's seen, obviously I did Hulk once Ella had gone home.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing Stardust like on my own accord, doing Velocicoaster like back to back by my own choice. It's crazy to be honest, yeah. But it's obviously great. Like next time I can go, I don't have to worry about any of that because I've done them all now. Um, but yeah, are you proud?
Now, I was wondering what's changed, but actually, I know the answer. If we cast our memories back to June 2022, a certain Woody Woodpecker coaster, the Leg Crusher, and from that point onwards, it must have been, you know what, I'm a coaster guy.
Yeah, not quite.
Not
Not
quite, no,
quite,
fair
not
enough.
quite. No, it was weird because like even going into this trip, I was still obviously I'd done Velocicoaster, but I obviously hadn't done Stardust, hadn't done Rip Red Rocket, hadn't done Hulk, so I was still a little bit, and I was still coming off Velocicoaster from previous years, a little bit shaken up. But yeah, I think we did Velocicoaster on our second day. We did it back
Yeah.
to back, and I think I opened my eyes for the first time. Obviously, again, previous years I had my eyes closed. And I think opening my eyes just literally opened my eyes to everything. So yeah, we'll touch on it a lot more in a future episode, but it's completely changed my whole thought process to Universal now and how I view rides. And like I said, I will be pulling more like you now, and I'll be looking for that extra thrill. Obviously, I listened to our top five episode recently, and I was saying about my Hagrid's was my thrill limit. And listening back to that now,
Mm.
I'm like, that's crazy. And obviously, like you put the big coaster at the top because like it gives you that much of a rush. So like that might be the same for me now. Not saying Hagrid is getting pushed off the one spot, but
Well,
who
I don't
knows?
know.
Who
You
knows? Anything's
seem
possible now.
very keen about another coaster as well, the Kukaram in
Hmm.
Epic. But there we are. So I guess your top five sounds like there's going to be some movement one way or another. Maybe not Hagrid's, but potentially some things coming in from Epic, potentially some other things coming in from Universal, potentially some things dropping out. So I know from my trip, even if I take Epic out of it, I think my ordering and maybe even my Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure top five's probably changed a little bit just because of the experiences you have. Maybe something doesn't work quite as well, potentially something you really enjoy and it resonates with you that trip. But again, I don't want to spoil a future episode because I'm sure we're going to revisit this with some of the other hosts as well of what's your new top five post Epic.
Hmm.
But I guess has there been a lot of movement? Is that list that we went through in last week, a couple of weeks ago's podcast,
Hmm.
is that for the most part completely changed now?
If we're talking just about our OG top five, then there's still quite a lot of movement, yes. Even listening back to that, I was thinking, what was I thinking putting that in there and leaving that one out? I couldn't quite.
I still
I
think when
overthought
you
it.
mentioned Celestial Park number one and concrete and statues, what were you thinking? But
I
here we
mean,
are.
yeah, listening back to those episodes as well, I did sound stupid.
We've come so far. We're 12 podcast episodes in now, whatever, and look, we're high quality content everywhere. Those
Yeah,
early
I
episodes.
was right to get ridiculed for that a little bit. I mean, I still love Cecil Park. Don't get me wrong, I love it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I agree.
if there was more shade, maybe I would have been more right. But like, it's obviously we'll come on to Epic in a minute. But yeah, in terms of my OG top five, again, I don't know if you want me to go into it or not. But certain rides would definitely drop, and
I
certain
don't know.
rides
Do you
would
do you
come
want to
in.
spoil a future episode? I know we've got quite a few on the backlog, but do you want to go into it?
I will say that I think Men in Black deserve to be in there.
Does it?
And Forbidden Journey, I don't know if you can ask me about that in a minute, but that might not be as high.
You're spoiling all the questions. You're trying to host even when I'm host here.
Sorry, I'm just like prompting the question person.
One of the rides I think your opinion changed on was Forbidden Journey. Tell me your thoughts on it now.
Yeah, so Forbidden Journey, everyone knows I've been a huge kind of one of the biggest kind of fans
Advocate
of
sort
it.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, advocates of it for a number of years now because I don't get sick on it, but I didn't do it that much this trip. And a couple of times I did it and I thought, you know what, I'm not feeling whether or not I wasn't feeling great on the day or what, if it was just that ride, but I came off it a couple of times thinking, actually during it a couple of times I was like, just get through this because I didn't feel great. So maybe the curse maybe my run's over on Forbidden Journey. I don't know. But
Yeah,
usually I
I've
would do
heard
it a
it's going
lot.
down in November for a short renovation or like a short bit of downtime. So hopefully, maybe some new projectors come in or something, and it gets it a little bit back more to its form and glory. But
Yeah, just looking at
yeah,
my ride tally now. I did it four times. And obviously, given the walk on and single rider,
mm,
that's not a lot at all for me. So I think that number there says everything. I think it's on
yeah,
the decline for me, unfortunately. But I've got a new Kuka arm, love.
there you go. Quickly forgotten, wasn't it? So I guess whilst we're on the topic of Harry Potter, I know one of the things that we all knew was coming. It was something that I guess half or at least a good decent size of the visitors are all for, and it's a real win for them. And some of us potentially not so. And that was the introduction of Express Pass into Hagrid. So I guess how did that impact the trip? Whether that was how long you queued, how you felt about do I go on it, do I not? You know, did it change anything for Hagrid's for you or not?
Yeah, I think it. We definitely found ourselves choosing not to queue for Hagrid's as much as we normally would. Um, And obviously that, like I said, that was because of the Express Pass inflating the wait times,
Yeah.
especially after 4 p.m., of course, when the Express Passes for kick in for the annual pass holders. So we didn't do it as much as we normally do it. Obviously, like after 4 p.m., we were thinking it's gonna skyrocket now. So if we want to get that night ride, we'll have to queue for a long time. And I don't remember queuing quite a lot. I think we did the majority of our rides in EPA, early park admission, just because
Okay,
you
yeah.
know that you're going to get a walk on. And we didn't do it as much as we normally do it. So it definitely did. Whether that was just us overthinking it again, like into,
Unlike you.
I know, in terms of just the wait times they were pretty rough. They have obviously they have increased obviously. So we did do it less unfortunately, but yeah, it definitely played a part in our thinking as it would do.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the time it was kind of plus 100, plus 120 most days. So it was, yeah, it definitely kind of tweaked our thought process when it came to shall we go for it, shall we not go for it?
And I know one of the things we spoke about, a few years ago when we were there together in June, was about Hagrid's and early park admission and how obviously you need the front of the queue you're walking on, which is a huge win.
Hmm.
But I think one of the comments you mentioned back then was maybe it's a little bit slower, maybe it hasn't
Mm,
warmed up a little bit and kind of got going. I guess based on what you're saying now, actually it might be worth taking that small bit of a hit in
yeah.
terms of how it's feeling to be able to walk pretty much straight on as opposed to the extended queue
Yeah,
that are on.
100%. And I still felt that it is a little bit slower on a morning. And like I say, I don't know the specifics, but it does feel like it just needs to get warmed up. I imagine that's what it is. Um, Definitely the first part of the ride is a lot slower, like going over that first kind of, do you know, when you pass the entrance and you go up and you go
Yep.
up, you can see people walking in. That feels a lot slower. But if it means you're walking on, opposed to a 150-minute wait, 120-minute wait, it's worth it. I still think that like people are just choosing to sleep in a bit longer over walking on Hagrid's. I know it's
Who are these
obviously
people?
I know, and obviously I don't want to give away all the secrets, but you do have to be there early pack admission. And I will say, what are you laughing at now? What was I said now?
The secrets are get there nice and early, get
But
your smart
yeah,
work shoes on, and get ready to run.
no, don't mention. We haven't got a section about footwear, have we?
We can add it on.
But obviously, people see that early pack admissions 8 a.m. I'll turn up at 7:45. It still doesn't work like that. Obviously, we know what to do because we were addicted to Universal, and that's all we think about in the main. Um, but yeah, if you want, like, I will say though, this trip, early park admission has affected me the most in terms of getting up early. Again,
Yeah,
I'm just getting older.
getting
It
older.
was so tough, especially the last 2 days when I was like, I haven't done early park admission enough, so I need to do it. And I was dragging myself out of bed, and
There
but it was
was
all worth
there
it.
was there was one day on my trip where early park admission started at 7 a.m., which was amazing because literally nobody was up for it, so it
Can
was dead.
imagine
But when you had to get the bus at 6 a.m., so you're setting your alarm for like half five,
5:15.
quarter
Yeah,
to six,
yeah.
it was like, oof, that hurt.
That is tough. That is tough. But you were still there.
Still there, of course, yeah. Riding Hagrid's.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously Hagrid's is something that's close to your heart, and by the sounds of it, will remain near the top, if not the top of that list for
But will
quite
it
some
be at the
time to come.
top? Will it be at the top of my all-time Universal ranking? There's a teaser.
Spoiler alert, yes, it will. Um, so now I want to move away from islands and into studios a little bit. So I know something that um, I absolutely love and Joey absolutely loves is something that you unfortunately missed out by, I think maybe a week or so on
Yeah, it
last
was a
year's
week.
trip,
Yeah.
and that is the Mega Movie Parade. So yeah, really excited to hear what you thought of it, what your favorite float was, and yeah, if it lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I think I said in my trip preview, because I'd watched that many videos of the parade, it felt like I'd seen it so many times before. So again, it was so weird seeing it in person with my own eyes. But I mean, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? I love all the Universal IPs, so bringing that to life in a parade, it's so good. The floats are incredible. I mean, the performers are absolutely terrific as well. All the dancers.
In that
It's
heat
just,
as well.
I mean, yeah, it's perfectly put together. I wasn't going to mention it. I was going to mention it because I can't help it. And it's all I spoke about in my epic pod, but I get hot quite. I mean, it's hot in Florida. Spoiler alert, it's bloody hot. And
We're just elevating the quality of this podcast. We're up there with the best now if we're
I
talking
know,
content like it's hot in Florida.
breaking news, Florida is hot as balls. And it's something that you probably wouldn't even mention watching the parade. You probably wouldn't even mention it because I don't know. But even if you found a shade spot, I was still melting watching it. But anyway, yeah, I didn't want to mention that. The parade is unbelievable. It's so good. The way the music of each float blends literally so perfectly onto the next float. It's absolutely
And we're back to that universal theme, like literally every 10 seconds as well. So will it
yeah,
get any better?
exactly. It's just all so good. It's so good. And yeah, I probably didn't see it enough for your liking, but I saw it a fair few times.
His favorite float then, out of all the times you did see it?
Oh, I've not actually got a ranking for that. Surprisingly,
You know,
I've not
is
got a
that not
list
a
for that.
list? Is that not next week's podcast
It
episode?
should be actually. That's a good idea. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. Obviously, I want to say Back to the Future, but is that the best flow? I don't know. Obviously, that's my favorite IP. I love it. I love the music for that. I really like Ghostbusters. That flow is really cool with the
Especially now
giant.
they've got the car as well, which they didn't have
Yeah.
last year.
All
So
right.
yeah,
Okay. The giant marshmallow man is so cool, and obviously Jurassic Park with the huge T-Rex. How can you not mention that? It's that's probably the most impressive thing. Obviously, is but seeing it with your own eyes was it's incredible, isn't it? Like how have they done that? How have they put that animatronic together? I don't know, but it's a real stunning way to end the parade.
absolutely. So, like you mentioned, we had Back to the Future. There's also a Jaws float in there, and I guess they're featured within Universal Studios just generally sort of through that summer period. So, I guess I've seen it from a distance, that's on Instagram, some YouTube videos, but I guess how did it feel being in the park with all that summer activity going on with the anniversaries, that type of thing?
Yeah, studios felt a bit more alive, which was nice. Obviously, my favorite park. It felt kind of more um, well-rounded with lots of various stuff going on. Usually, that area in San Francisco is a little bit dead. Fast and Furious,
Family,
hopefully dead soon.
family.
But yeah, usually that area is a little bit dead, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
there's not a lot going on at all. So I really like the Jaws edition for the anniversary. It really brings it all to life. They've got kind of team members out there. Um, they've got obviously the stuff in the store. They've got the two new food kiosks, another photo op. So I mean, it could really stay really like for me because otherwise it's just the shark there, isn't it, for the photo op, and that's kind of it. I will say paying $10 for a very, very small hot dog is wild, but I'm the
I saw
mug,
that. It's
clearly.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at least make it like three-quarter size, not even like miniature size. Um, but no, it was
Did
great.
we 2 foot hot dog on this trip?
I didn't know. I actually thought about it. To be fair, I went to go one night to Hot Dog Hall of Fame on City Walk, and it closes at 9 now.
Was it?
I don't know if you knew that or
Interesting.
not, but yeah, it closes at 9 p.m., which definitely is earlier than what it has been in previous years because I remember going there quite late and stupidly getting a two
Because you
foot
need
like hot
nine
dog.
hours to let it digest so you can actually go to
They
sleep
need
after.
9 hours to cook it because it's when they order it, it's like they ring a bell, isn't it? Oh, bring out the big one. But I was actually going to get.
That's what immigration thought as well when you were like,
Oh dear, don't PTSD from that. Um, but no, I was actually going there to get a normal size, just a normal size hot dog. But no, unfortunately, it closed early. You had to go there, didn't you? You had to go there. You had to go there.
uh,
You can't stop thinking about it now, can you? It
I'm not even
wasn't
going to
nice.
clarify what you think I'm thinking of, to be honest with you. Should we?
Honestly, I just want to go back to that. Like when I say he wasn't gentle, he wasn't gentle. Like serious cupping involved.
He was searching for the 2 foot hot dog, was he?
Yeah, I didn't find it.
He was disappointed by what he got for $10.
He was really disappointed. Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, awful, awful experience. That's the one. Actually, I might go back to the OG terminal because that new terminal a bit too hands-on for my liking.
If we're talking about security guards and immigration and that type of thing, did you meet Daniel on your trip?
Didn't meet Daniel, no. There was
Oh,
no one out there hyping, so maybe they were just out there,
no.
which is weird because why would they be out there hyping for previews and not for the actual main opening of the park? No, there was no one hyping at
Mm.
all, which is weird.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah. So yeah,
But anyway,
studios felt nice. Go back to that. I didn't see much Back to the Future anniversary merch, which was a shame. I mean, there wasn't much at all. There was like one little stand in a store. That was it. I was expecting to see more.
yeah.
But yeah, the anniversary stuff's really cool. But it's weirder, isn't it? Like 35th anniversary. Like they're just gonna keep doing it. Like there'll be one for 40. We'll all buy a shirt again. For 45, we'll all buy huge stuff for 50. We'll all buy it again. Because I was thinking like it's out of date in a year, the 35th anniversary. Like next year it's 36, so it'll be out of date. But I bought it anyway.
I still don't get why Jurassic Park's on that, but there we are.
Yeah, who knows?
So let's move on. Still on the immigration theme, but hopefully with less groping this time round. I know something again that was new for you this trip was experiencing the immigration tour, the bank tour as well as Gringotts. So I guess for people that don't know what those things are, and again, hopefully no groping, if you can just explain what it is, how you get it, and how that experience was for you.
Yeah, so what it is, I guess, is just a behind the scenes tour of the attraction and the queue. Stop making groping gestures. Moved on from that. Yeah, I guess it's just a behind the scenes tour, isn't it? Of kind of the queue and the attraction itself sometimes. I've tried it multiple times over the past few years. I think you get
Yeah.
told to go ask outside if there's any chance for a certain tour today. Usually it tends to be in the quieter periods or the quieter times of day in which they can do it. But every time I've asked, like, I've tried doing it at lunchtime when it's potentially quieter on a morning, and I just get told no. So I do feel a bit stupid when they say no because I'm like, I'm only asking, and people just say, you never know. Um, but we got pretty lucky again. That's the theme of our recent trip, and I guess it's part of um, doing the Instagram page that I do that I guess you get a bit of luck. Um, and we actually got recognised by a team member on Men in Black. Um,
All right.
so on one of our rides, we were just sitting down, and then a woman said, "Oh, university speaking, how you doing?" I was like, "Oh, hello." Didn't know who she was, but turns out she followed us on the page.
You
Um,
can listen to the pod.
who knows? Maybe it's called Alicia. Um, and
Shout out,
then
Alicia.
Shout out Alicia, absolutely. And then she basically just DM'd us a few days later saying, if you want to do an immigration tour, come along this time, this day, and we should be able to make it work. And we came along that time, that day, and she did a immigration tour for us. So we got taken down the bottom level at the Men in Black queue. I don't know if you've done it, Sam. I think you might have done.
Yeah, I've done it once. Yeah.
So yeah, that was really cool. She was like, take as many pictures, videos as you want, because I wasn't sure if that was allowed or not. Um, but yeah, it was so cool being down there, and just getting to look around, have a little sit down, take pictures, take videos. So yeah, really cool.
Cool. And then the bank tour, is there anything out of the ordinary, anything sort of behind the scenes that you wouldn't normally see?
Yeah, again, shout out Ryan, our good friend who now works at Gringotts, who used to work at Hagrid's. It took a while to get that because he was obviously a little bit busier on Gringotts than Alicia was
Yeah.
at Men in Black, so it was a couple of failed attempts. But I eventually got one. Unfortunately, Ella had left at that point. But no, obviously you just go through the queue, you just get a lot more information about the whole storyline. I did get it on times two speed as well from Ryan because he was like, I've got to do it quickly, get back to work. So it was times two speed, so it was a lot to take in, but no, still really cool to get kind of a bit more of a backstory in terms of the attraction.
Of course, like you said, those tours are very dependent on crowds. So I know this is the time of year you generally go, but I guess with Epic just recently opening, how did you find the crowds this year compared to previous years?
Yeah, I had a few DMs from certain people, including Rob from Orlando, saying, "Do you feel like there's more people there this year?" And I'm not that observant at the best of times, so
Just what
um,
people are wearing on the feet.
well, yeah. Actually, that was Ella that spotted the footwear, so you can thank her. But no, it felt okay. Like I said, it felt normal. Didn't feel any busier, I would say. But I think
Yep.
in terms of the wait times, I think they were down. And I think like obviously for myself and you and people that go to Universal yearly, we know when to queue and when not to queue for certain rides. And whereas the
Yep.
bit more kind of the people that are not quite obsessed with it as we might be, will jump at I don't know, like a 45 minutes at the mummy when we'd probably go, no, there's better times for it than that. So yeah, the wait times were really good, apart from obviously Hagrid and that. But in the main, the wait times are really low.
Perfect. So, final question, because I do want to talk briefly about Epic. One of the things that I found a little bit strange was going back to those OG parks after you've been at Epic, where everything's brand new, it's shiny. I guess, how did you feel? Was it you loved them as much as you did before? Did it feel a little bit old, a little bit dated, needed some TLC? Like, what were your first impressions going back into the OGs?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of my answer then when you were asking it. In terms of, I don't think it felt old or it needs TLC. Again, I'm not one of them people that's going to notice the tiny little details. For example, when we mentioned on our previous episode about Jurassic Park, like I don't see crooked necks and get really enraged
You
by
should
it.
do it. It's about 50 foot big, but yeah, okay.
I don't get really angered by it. Whereas brown loafers in a theme park, I get a bit angry about.
So
So
we draw
no,
the
just
line.
just thinking about it then. Once I'd been to Epic Universe and going back to the OG parks, I will say that I was at times thinking about Epic whilst I was at the OG parks, and I was like
Yep,
cheating
I
on
was the
them in my
same.
brain. I was thinking just because it's all so new, isn't it? Because obviously we've done all these OG rides for so many years, and whilst a lot of them don't get old, as we love them all the same, but we're still thinking there's new lands, new rides, new experiences, new feelings, new thoughts just down the road. But unfortunately, we couldn't go as much as we liked. So yeah, I was still thinking back to it just because it was so new and we've not had that feeling, well, ever. Because obviously, last time was 1999, and I can't remember that. I'm pretty sure you won't be able to remember fully as well. So
Yep.
yeah, I was definitely thinking back to it.
So I'm sure by now everyone's already listened to last week's episode, which was around your Epic Universe trip and your reactions and general thoughts. So we won't go into it in too much detail now, but I guess just at a high level, just remind us of what you thought of Epic Universe.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Despite a severe lack of shade, it was just an incredibly surreal experience to visit a brand new Universal Park in this day and age of kind of social media and everything that comes with it. Yeah, it was, like I said, I was apprehensive at first prior to going because I was like, it just won't be the same, but it really was and more. But yeah, not to go. not to go too deep into all that again, it was very special, and it's something I'll remember for a long time now.
Perfect. And I'm going to be a little unfair with this next question because I probably couldn't tell you what my answer would be. But do you have a favorite moment? Is there something that springs to mind like that was the standout thing that you remember from that trip?
Yeah, it's really tough. It's
Toast
really,
Cafe.
huh? To-
Toast
No,
Cafe.
it wasn't Toadstool Cafe. That was a real low point, the lowest point. Don't get me started on that, honestly.
Yeah.
No,
Go on.
don't get me started on
Serious
Toad.
question here. Favorite moment. Go on.
Punching Toad. No. Like I said, I've got quite a few. There's not one that I can pick
I'm
out.
only having one.
I can't. I'll have to
I'm only
give you at least
accepting.
five. I'll just go through
Can
a
you rank
few.
them in order from five to
Yeah,
one, and I'll take them
I'll
all?
go through them really quickly. But again,
Go
it
on.
might not have been my favorite land, but walking into Nintendo for the first time and seeing the reveal through the doors with Ella, and we both literally our jaws dropped and we both gasped. Just seeing that first reveal of a portal was
Yeah.
just really special and something that just will stick in my brain for a while. Again, our first rides on Minecraft Madness and Curse of the Werewolves together, we had so much fun. They'll stay together, especially Donkey Kong, 'cause that was our first ever ride at Epic. So we were so excited. We were so fresh on that day, and we had such a good time. First ride
Sorry,
on
Jay. What
go on,
ride?
Donkey Kong and Curse. We got the names wrong.
Was that Mario
Minecraft,
Kart Madness?
yeah, Mario Kart Madness. Sorry, yeah,
Oh, that one. Yeah,
that
I
one,
know
yeah.
which one you mean. Yeah.
But also shout out Curse of the Werewolf. I think if you're going on alone, it's not as fun as I found in my third day. But when we went on that, we had such a good time, especially our first ride on there. Also, first ride on Stardust because Ella shouted mid-ride that we were on the green side, which is the most intense side. So that was definitely a
Best side.
memory, definitely a memory for us both. Um,
And I think you commented on this on last week's episode, but
mm.
I think the difference between the two in the grand scheme of things is quite small.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me because obviously green was my first ride, so I was extremely, extremely nervous, of course. Whereas yellow side,
You were
I was,
green.
oh yeah, I literally was green probably, but yellow side, obviously, it was my second, third ride, so I knew I was going to be okay. So I need to do green again now. I'm a full adrenaline junkie, and then give my
Yeah.
answer. But it felt like they were pretty much the same. I don't know,
Yeah. I
six and
think
two or
like
threes.
95% the same.
Yeah. And then also seeing the Untrainable Dragon show for the first time was obviously a special moment. And then just also our interactions with Igor in Dark Universe were really cool as well. So there's five.
I thought that was six, but there we go. Maybe I can't count.
It's definitely five.
Definitely
If
five.
we're counting Donkey Kong and Curse of the Werewolves together, or Mario Minecraft.
Have we got the merch out? I've seen you trying to get sales for this cap. What about the Mario
I don't think anyone's going to
Mario
buy
Kart
though.
Madness, Donkey Kong, everything
Shall I get some Toad
spiel on one
merch?
shot?
I hate Toad. There's one. Moving on.
Dear me. Moving on. So the How to Train Your Dragon show, I agree, is absolutely amazing. Between that and the Fantastic Beast show, which do you think is better? Because this is
Ooh,
something that splits people. I've seen so many
yeah.
opinions either way.
I will say that both are incredible. Like I was taken aback by the Circar canoe. I was really blown away by that when I wasn't expecting to be because our first showing of that we got evacuated from it halfway through, so we didn't actually see the second half, which is much better than the first half in my opinion.
Yep.
So that really blew me away. But I would just have to go with the Untrainable Dragon just for the music and the animatronics in there that they used just for me. But I will say that both are really good, really good.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So I think on last week's episode, you talked about your top four, but just remind us, I guess, first of all, what your top three are. But then I'm also interested to hear what the bottom three are, because I don't think we got into that topic.
So no, yeah, I've got my list. So do you want top four or top three? Because you
I
said I
want
need a
top
top
three because
four.
I want you to miss a certain attraction off.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. So my one is Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, clear at the top. Two,
Get right?
two Stardust Races. I can't believe I'm saying it still. I think it's Stardust Races. And then three is Hiccup's Wing Gliders.
Fantastic top three. Certainly, like we said before, I think everyone, for the most part, has got the same top four. It's just a matter of what order you put them in.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would agree in terms of what your number one is there as well. So fair.
Yeah.
Right, bottom three. I've got my list up as well, so I'm interested to compare. So start with your number 11 then.
Well, I didn't do two attractions, so I only did 9 out of 11. I know I tried, so I
Right.
didn't. I didn't get on Constellation Carousel. I know. I'm sorry, Sam.
Okay.
And then I didn't get on Fire Drill. I tried to get on Fire Drill my last day, but it was like a 40-minute wait, and I was like, I still don't think it's worth waiting for. Just looking at
Yeah,
it
agreed.
from the Spitfire grill, just looking at it go around, I'm like, I'd rather spend my time exploring the park. Same with the carousel. Someone told me that if it's a 10 or 15-minute wait, it's probably going to be 25, 30 because of the loading process. So, and I just put my priorities elsewhere on my final day. So yeah, I didn't do all 11, unfortunately. So I haven't completed Epic
No, well,
Universe.
I'm going to take those out of my list then. So let's see what is your bottom attraction of what you actually experienced then.
Yeah, so my number 9, which is bottom of my list, was Yoshi's Adventure. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a kid's ride, and I was absolutely melting. I don't know if anyone's seen the pictures, but I literally had to get the towel out of my bag because it was just going out into that open outside part. I felt like I was on fire. The common theme here at
Yeah.
Epic Universe, but I was literally melting, so I was like, this isn't fun. And yeah,
It's got an
it's a
indoor
kid's
queue at
ride.
least, hasn't it?
It has, and I walked straight on, so I didn't even see the queue. I literally
Yeah.
walked straight on, so thankfully anyway, because if I'd have queued any more than 15 minutes for that, I wouldn't have been too happy. So again, I would have rather have done Fire Drill and the Carousel rather than Yoshi's Adventure in hindsight, but I
Okay.
got it done, and it was my number 9.
Yeah. It's in my bottom three, but it's not in
It's
my
a, it's
last
a,
place. So
it's not going to be up there, is it, for us? Let's be honest. It's a kid's ride, but even then, it
not
was
for thrill-seeking junkies like you now, my
literally.
friend.
I know it's so slow, isn't it? Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was also very short. It
Yeah.
wasn't very long, was it? And I saw Toad as well with his big fat head, so that annoyed me.
I was going to say something, but I don't want you to bleep it out, so I won't. But for the views perspective, it's great, but not a lot
I
else.
couldn't see through the sweat, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, number
That's
number
not bad.
8 was Dragon Racers Rally.
Okay. So that is, yeah, go on.
We did it once. I did it once, and it was on our first day. I think it was our first morning actually. And this was before I was a thrill seeker, so I didn't try and make myself spin. It was a fun little ride, but again, the load station is quite time consuming. Getting on and off, it was a bit of an
Yeah.
arduous wait and getting everyone in, but it was a fun little experience. Obviously, you go quite high, so it was fun. I'd like to do it again. I'd like to see if I can maybe flip. I don't have a clue how that all works. Like me and Ella are still confused by how you make yourself flip, but that's another story. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was all right. Nothing special.
So of the rides you've done, I had Dragon Racers Rally as the bottom of my list,
Okay,
and I had Yoshi's Adventure as second to bottom.
you had
So we've
Yoshi's
got them the other
above.
way.
You had Yoshi's above. What was your reasoning there?
Probably the views, to be honest.
Yeah,
Just kind
fair
of
enough.
taking it because I think with Dragon Racers Rally, we waited a long time.
Hmm.
You literally go around 5 times,
Yeah,
and it was damn near impossible to make it spin. So I was
yeah.
trying to do that. So it's the
Okay.
fact of like the main reason I was wanting to do it, and I couldn't even come close.
Yeah,
So
you got a breeze, so I was happy.
there we go. So I don't think we're gonna have the same bottom. I don't know what we're calling this one.
Yeah, it's
Top of our
hard.
bottom three.
Yeah.
So go on. What have you got?
Yeah, so my number 7 was I've forgotten the real name of it now because you confused me that much, but it is Mario Kart Madness. Is that what it's called? No, it's not, is it? You've actually fully confused me. I've written down Mario Kart Madness, but
It's Bowser's
Bowser's
Challenge or
Challenge,
whatever,
yeah.
isn't it?
Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge is my number 7. And yeah, and I didn't actually mention it once, I don't think, in last week's episode.
No, you didn't. That's why I'm asking this question now because I was interested.
And
Yeah.
and that probably says it all. I completely see where you're coming from now. Like, just make it like a go-kart style ride, like you're on a Mario Kart race. I know they're
So
probably
slow, isn't it?
hindered by space, but I will say the queue line is incredible. It's way better than the ride itself, in my opinion.
So,
It's a really impressive queue. But yeah, it wasn't great. Again, I only did it once. I'm pleased I did it. Some parts of it were pretty cool, but it just isn't great, is it? Unfortunately, it could have been so much better.
yeah, agreed. And that one, it was. of my list, if I was just ranking the attractions that you've experienced, that was fourth from bottom, so very, very close. So again, I think we're pretty much aligned on that one anyway.
Okay.
Great. So last question I want to ask about Epic Universe before talking about something else that was brand new for your trip in the hotels was Celestial Park. So I want to take the shade out of it. I
It's
want to take the
hard. It's
heat out of it.
hard. It's hard not to not to think about the
I,
lack of shade. I think Cassie asked me
I'm
this
gonna.
as well, and I was like, I still think about this lack of shade and me sweating in it though. Go on.
It was interesting because as a complete side point, when you were talking on last week's episode about what were the hottest lands, I like had different lands in my mind of what was the hottest, which just proves they're all just vile and
Yeah, they're all
unbearable.
just really hot. See, I thought Burke was ridiculous and Celestial Park were ridiculous, and the others were okay. But a lot of people have said Dark Universe is the hottest land.
Yeah, and I don't know if you got to that vlog yet or not, but I talk about Dark Universe being horrendous for me, and I would
Really?
put Burke. I would put Wizarding World as like the coolest, then probably Burke, then Nintendo, then Dark Universe.
That's
Forget
interesting.
about Celestial Parks. I don't see that as a true land or true world.
Yeah.
But anyway, my question was, was it more or less stunning than you imagined?
I think more.
Yeah,
I think more. It really is stunning. Like I said, I will try and take the heat and lack of shade out of it. I would have spent a lot more time in there if there was kind of more shaded areas. Obviously, at night when the sun goes down, it's even more impressive. And I felt like my thought process was justified in a way, but the lack of shade really does make it brutal and tough to actually spend some time walking. Like walking into the entrance of Epic Universe, it is breathtaking, isn't it? And it's a shame that we're all racing to early park admission, so you don't get that nice feeling of just walk. I know you can go back out during the day, but and as I mentioned last week, trying to get content there during the day, just some nice videos or anything, it was hard because it was so hot. I don't want to keep banging on about it, but yeah, taking the heat out of it, or trying to anyway, it was stunning, like absolutely breathtaking. And the back of the park where Helios is it's unbelievable.
yeah, and what I've been thinking, probably a little bit when I was there, but more so coming back, is you take Celestial Park almost for granted
Yeah.
because it's so beautiful, it's so
Mm,
grand.
absolutely.
There's how crazy it is, and but that's just what you know it as. That's just Epic Universe. But then actually, when you compare that to the other parks, and the fact there is nothing really like that in any other park,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
you
No.
almost underappreciate how great it
And
is.
especially as
So
it's seen as a hub, so people kind of forget that it is a land. Obviously, it's still a hub, but it is a land in itself. And I think I was walking to Early Park Admission on my final day there. And obviously I was going to Nintendo down the left hand side of the park. And I looked to my right and just seeing all like the just how beautiful and picturesque it was. I was like, I wish I could
yeah,
stop and take a bit more time to appreciate it. And obviously I did later in the day, but it does give, not to compare it to Disney, but it does give a little bit of Epcot feel in terms of how kind of picturesque it is. And like I said, the flowers are sculptures, the water features. It really is.
yeah.
It really is impressive, and I do love it still, but not quite as much as I was hyping it up beforehand.
And I think if it wasn't for how amazing the four other worlds are in
Yeah.
terms of theming,
Absolutely.
like so it's almost you can underappreciate, like I say, Celestial Park just because of how amazing all the other bits are. But actually, you put that in any other theme park in the world, and it's literally all people will be talking about. So,
Yeah, I couldn't agree
yeah,
more.
yeah. So we're going to move on to hotels now, and I gave you a bit of homework. So we're soon going to work out how much effort you put into said homework.
Uh-oh.
So before we get into each hotel in a bit more detail and whether you've got any favorite, I guess, what I wanted you to do is to describe each of the four hotels you stayed at in 3 words. So there can be three completely random words. It's not about forming a 3 word sentence here. It could just be, hot, noisy. I don't know. Can't even
Whatever.
think of 3 words,
That's
but you
A2.
get the gist. Just three random words. So we'll start whichever one, wherever you want.
I'll do it in order. I'll do it
I'm
in order.
intrigued. Yeah, okay,
I'll do
let's
it in the
go.
order of the
Surfside
stays.
then.
So, Surfside, I've gone for calm, bright, home.
Nice. Like
Yeah.
that.
And then on to Cabana Bay. very different.
I'm not going to like this one, am I? Come on.
Chaos, kids, huge. Yeah,
Okay.
just my experience.
Feeling positive about where we're going with Cabana Bay shortly, but yeah, right.
And then back up to Stellanova, sparkly, modern, futuristic. And then this
Okay.
might upset quite a lot of listeners, so I apologize, but it's just my own personal
Go
experience.
on, do it.
Maybe it's because it was the last 2 days of my trip and I was really sad. But
Do it. Do it.
For Aventura, I've gone quite harsh. I've gone for empty, characterless, bland. I know that's a little harsh, isn't it? I'm sorry. I felt like
Well,
I don't
to be
know.
honest, if it wasn't for Terra Luna coming in around, Aventura would be very much the bottom of my list.
Okay.
So yeah,
It has
I should.
quite a lot of die-hard fans, Aventura. Though. Loads of people love going there, and again, the lack of kids was obviously a big plus. Sorry, Sam. I know you've got kids, um, but like I think I saw like two kids in my 2 days there. And obviously, it's got the rooftop bar. It's the fact that you can walk to Sapphire Falls so easily and get a water taxi is a great plus. But for the hotel itself, there was just nothing there. Sorry
How
to
did
go
you
on a bit of a
find
tangent there.
like the modern sort of rooms and everything kind of being via the iPad? Was that nice, or was it just a pain to just not have the conventional remote switches, those types of things?
Yeah, it was definitely different. And obviously, as you know, I didn't get the right side room, so I got the room facing the staff car park. So not the best start, but again, I didn't request one,
Yeah.
so that's my own fault. I completely get that. My room was very small, like very, very small. I don't know if I just got an abnormally small one or not. I don't know. Yeah, the iPad thing was a bit strange, but I'd rather have a TV remote personally. Um,
Yeah.
but it didn't bother me too much. Yeah, the room was okay. The room was nice. The bathroom portion was nice, but it was a very small room and not my, yeah, not my favorite. Not my favorite.
Was it your least favorite though? So come on, give us your rankings from fourth. So starting with the worst through to the best.
So I need to find my list. I can't remember what I put fourth on there. Hang on. It's in here somewhere. Here we go. So yeah, in again, it's a toss up as you probably guessed for three and four and one and two. So I could choose any for bottom. I could choose any for top. At the top two and a bottom two. Um, I would probably go number four, Cabana Bay. Um, it was a lot, and
Yeah, and I guess for what it's worth, you went on a Friday, am I right? Which is going to be busiest time for check-in.
yeah,
People going on a weekend. And the reason you went to Cabana Bay was because of how expensive every other hotel was over that
mhm,
weekend. So whilst I think you clearly had a very busy experience, and I can 100% believe that at Cabana Bay, it would have been interesting to see had you been checking into a different hotel,
yeah.
how that would have been, because it was clearly a busy weekend, that one.
Yeah, oh, obviously it's still really impressive. It feels like a proper resort. Like there's so much there. Obviously,
Yeah,
two
the two
massive
pools, the lazy
pools. They've got
river.
lazy
Yeah.
river. The film's going on. Obviously, the bars, the Bayliner Dine is massive. So it does feel like for families, I can imagine that is an incredible place to stay. Hence, why it's your favorite or was your favorite to stay with your family. But for me, the solo person, and obviously I was in a Volcano Bay room eventually. And I don't know if you obviously you stayed there before. It's a fair old
Yeah.
trek down there as well to get down there. But yeah, I did I did get a volcano view eventually. But yeah, the rooms as well.
Did
The
you
rooms are weird.
yeah, it's a certain level of decor, isn't it? It's
I will say that
uh,
they're the biggest rooms, but like I know that Ella's already said that she don't want to stay there because of the like 50s, 60s feel. It's just not to her taste, and I kind of get that as well.
well, yeah, I think Cabana Bay it does appeal to couples. I know that as well, but I think
Hmm
it's obviously a bit more family focused, and it was that first family hotel before the Endless Summers came along.
hmm
So yeah,
But even
completely
just going to try and
understand.
get the bus as well, I think I went down, and people have seen this on my story, but I went down twice, and there was a Mia's coach there, and it's just a bit naff. And then I think there was a unbranded coach there next. So even waiting for the bus, there was always like loads of people there. I did walk back there when I was checking in. I walked from Islands to Cabana Bay, and I regretted that because it
Yeah.
was 3 p.m. and Yeah, it was very rough to be honest, but that was my own choice.
So let's end on some positivity for Cabana Bay before we move on.
Uh-huh.
The Brazilian beef.
Oh yes, yeah, that was definitely a standout. But obviously, you can go there anyway, not have to stay there to get that. But yeah, the Brazilian beef or the Brazilian steak, whatever it is was superb, and obviously you recommended it, and it was very, very nice, very nice. But just to go back to the rooms finally quickly, the rooms were huge, so that was a big plus. Like I couldn't believe how big the room was. And I don't know if that's just the volcano view rooms, if they're bigger than the average ones.
Uh, I think potentially slightly, but I don't think it's much in it.
But yeah, they still felt a bit dated. Like not having USBs next to the bedside was a bit of a pain, and little things like
Yeah.
that.
And I think what really helps with those Volcano Bay rooms, like you said, they're a pain in terms of how far they are, but I think because it's generally a ceiling to floor
Hmm.
window, I think
Yeah,
that certainly helps with the amount of light coming in and the like.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree in terms of like the USB stuff.
I
It's
will say as well, I did check out the lazy river, and I loved going around there for kind of 15, 20 minutes. But I was trying to sit by kind of that area, and it was just so much going on. Like I couldn't relax there because there was just like so many kids and families just going carnage. But the lazy river was very cool.
so if you go from a hotel then that's got two pools and a lazy river to what I would imagine is your number three on the rankings of a hotel that's got the tiniest pool on site.
Yeah, so my number three is Aventura, and I didn't spend any time at the pool. Um, I didn't spend any time at the pool. So obviously it was my last 2 days, so I wanted to rinse the parks as much as possible. I did want to go on my final day to check out the pool just to see what it was like. But yeah, it did look quite small, I will say that. I feel sorry for the lifeguards at Aventura because there's no kids there. It's like no one's drowning there. They must have to like never blow their whistles. Like
Bloody poor lifeguards. Got no
it's like
kids drowning directly in front of them, struggling
no,
to
like
breathe.
Cabana Bay, them lifeguards they earn their money. Whereas at Aventura, I looked out and they're just like they must be so bored. Like Paul, 45 from Manchester, is not going to drown. I think he'll be all right.
So, public service announcement, guys. If you've got kids that can't swim, come on, do those lifeguards a favor. Head to Aventura, throw them in the pool, give them something to
You know,
do.
I looked out. There was literally like three people in the pool, and they still got. I know they have to have lifeguards there, but I just felt that they can't have to do much work.
Hey, there we go. So, you said these could go either way, which I'm surprised at in terms of your number one and number two. I I didn't expect one of them to be anywhere close to your number one, knowing how much you love Surfside, but go on.
So I did this. What date is it? So I did this nearly a week ago now. Once I got back, and I'm not going to change them. To leave it as it is. And I've got Surfside 2 and Stella 1,
Ooh.
but I know I have to choose. But they really are interchangeable. Like they both could be. They both are my favorites. I think now. Is that recency bias? Maybe. Like who knows? I don't know. I still obviously love them both just as much. But yeah, Surfside was great as always. Um, Nothing new to say really. It still feels like home to me. Checking in there, there's
Even when
no
you're on the room next, even when you're in the room
yeah,
next
didn't
door
quite
rather
get
than
the
the actual
exact
room.
room. Got an epic view rather than the view of the main parks, but you know we'll take it. But even just walking in on check-in day, there was like one person in line, whereas at Cabana Bay there was about 45,000. Um,
Yeah, Surfside's nice. Always dead, isn't that lobby? It's
Yeah,
nice and calm, like you
it's
mentioned
always
earlier.
so dead, and it's just so fresh. It smells really nice as well. But yes, I think recency bias or not, Stellanova's my new favorite. I had a great time there. I really love the vibe. It's
Mm,
so slick and so modernized. Obviously, it's virtually brand new still, so it feels it as well. But even just the
yeah,
lobby area. Um, and the pool area was really, really nice and massive. I think that's what makes it a little bit better than Surfside. Like the pool area is a lot more expansive, whereas Surfside can get a little busy or a little snug at certain points. But Stellanova's is very grand in comparison. Um, Really nice pool. They've got a jacuzzi as well, which is nice. Um, the rooms as
yeah.
well.
I just generally found as almost that it was very much Surfside, but just one step up. It was like a
Yeah,
slightly newer version of Surfside, where it was
yeah.
still very much that category,
Hmm.
but everything was just one notch up on the
Yeah.
scale.
Well, bearing in mind that I did a video filming myself walking into each room. Bearing in mind I had Cabana Bay, in which I walked in to my volcano view room and saw. bushes. Aventura, I walked in filming and I saw a car park. Stellanova, I walked into this extremely futuristic room. The lights came on automatically. I could see Epic. It was completely different. Like even just them ambient lights turning on as you walk in. It was yeah, it was so slick and so impressive, and I can't wait to get back there.
I guess we probably both share the opinion that unless you're staying at the Helios Grand and you've got megabucks, location wise for Epic Universe is perfect. What, 9, 10 minute walk or so. Obviously, you've got the bus as well. Did you happen to go to the OG parks whilst you were at Stella Nova?
Yes, so I checked in. I think it was the Sunday night after Cabana Bay, and once my room was ready, which was a little bit of a wait until it was ready. So I kind of milled around the lobby for like 2 hours, which is a bit annoying. But once it was ready, yeah, I went straight to the OG parks. I never want to waste any time, and it wasn't too bad to be fair. It was fine, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, cool. So
15
that's the
minutes.
thing. Like for us, I think we'll probably stay at Stella Nova next year, but I think it'll probably be a slightly more epic trip next year.
Mhm.
Just, yeah, I think that's the only downfall, isn't it? It's just a little bit out of the way. But like I
Here's
say,
a
it's still not bad in the grand scheme of things.
here's a question. I think I can't remember who I asked this, but when annual passes do become available, and when you're next going back and you've added Epic to your annual passes, how many days do you think you'll
Mhm.
spend at Epic compared to the OG parks? Because you can go as much as you want.
Um, yeah, so let's take it. We're going for a 2 week trip.
Yeah. Obviously, you
Um,
can come and go, so it's a little bit different.
yeah, that's from the 1st of January on the UK ticket. You've got that option as well of just starting to worry about it. You know, you being there and paying extra for it. And I would imagine annual passes is going to be very similar. I'd
Hmm.
imagine they'll get Christmas out the way,
Yeah.
busiest time of the year, and then open it up to everybody come January. So I reckon 5+ days
Yeah.
out of a 2 week trip. And I think if there was more, I would probably more to do, let's say.
You spend
I
more
would probably
time.
spend more there, but it's just the
Yeah.
fact there's more attractions in studios, there's more attractions in islands.
Yeah.
It's easier able to move between the two. You know, all right, I'll go do Spider-Man.
Mm.
Right, now we'll go do Velocicoaster. Right, let's do the Hogwarts Express and Jumbo. So it kind of feels like, although you've got, say, 15 attractions in one park, 20 in the other, really you've got 35
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
versus you've got 11 plus two shows there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so I
true.
think five as a starting point, but I think it's just what you feel like, isn't it? It's if you're in the mood, if it still feels brand new and exciting, much like on this trip, I'm sure we'd have both loved to spend even more time in Epic than what we did.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking if it was a 2 week trip?
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? It's hard to say until you're actually in it, but I think five sounds about right. But like you could go for an evening, couldn't you? You can go from 6 till 10 if it's open till then and spend 4 hours there and not worry about it. You can go for a morning and not worry about it. So yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, perfect. So I guess to sum up your hotel experience then, one of the things you mentioned, I think, before you went was you should have just booked it all at Surfside and you wish you'd just stayed in one sort of place. Now, on reflection, it sounds like obviously you've had some really positive experiences, in the Men in Black hotel. It still reminds me of that
Yeah.
immigration kind of room, like. Um, but also potentially some not so good experience as well. So I guess you still glad you did what you did and you moved about, or in hindsight, you wish you just stayed at Surfside and stuck with what you knew and loved?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. At the time, it was a real pain having to pack everything up, squeeze to get my suitcase closed every single time. Every other day, I was packing up. But now I know a lot more about the hotels, what I don't like, what I do like. For example, like I won't be rushing back to Aventura or Cabana Bay because I know that it wasn't really to my taste, or I just know more about it and how it all works. Whereas Stellanova, I know that I like it. So like next time, I could do a split stay between Surfside and Stellanova. So as much as it was quite annoying towards the end of my trip, having to pack up all the time,
Yep.
at least now I'm a bit more clearer, and at least I've ticked some more Universal hotels off for one. At least I'm a bit more clearer now in what I like and what I'm not so keen on. So no, it was definitely worth it looking back.
Last couple of questions then, Jay. So obviously we've talked a lot about the parks, we've talked a lot about the hotels just then. Is there anything else, probably standout moments from the trip, whether that's places you ate, other things you did away from the parks, any other standout moments that you want to kind of cover off that we haven't talked about already?
Yeah, I'll probably mention one of Ella's favorite nights, which was we went to Old Town in Kissimmee.
Yeah,
for the
nice.
classic cars show. She's never been and she loved it, and we had a great time that night. A few drinks, and the atmosphere was just really good. So I feel like a lot of people might not know about it, but yeah, they have events on all week. I think it was about 16, $17 in a lift to get there, so it wasn't too bad at all. So we had a really good evening there. It's not an all day thing, just a few hours. And then we ate at Logan's on the night, just over the
Yeah,
road, which
nice.
was probably the standout meal we had as well. They have these warm, like fresh
Tenders.
bread rolls, and no, not tenders. Although I did get tenders, but that's by the by. They have these like it's like the bread at Outback Steakhouse, but it's these white rolls, and they are so soft and so warm, and honestly, they're the best things ever. So that was probably the standout for me and Ella as well.
So to bring this episode to a close then, Jane, hopefully I've managed to ask a few acceptable questions along the way. Is
I'm still
can
thinking
you
about
give
being
us your
groped.
well, if that's what's on the mind rather than did you talk to your Lyft driver,
I can see his
we've
face
opened
so
one
clearly
maybe.
as well. Anyway, go
There's so many places I could go, but I'm not going to. Professional podcast.
on. Yeah, something like
We've already talked about the Black Burger enough on other shows.
that.
Um, so go on then, Jay, give us your total ride count. I appreciate obviously some of the trip was with Ella, some of it was on your own, but all in all, give us a breakdown.
Yeah, so I'll give you the top kind of six or seven because obviously it's quite lengthy. Um, so Spider-Man six times, and this is across a 19-day trip. Spider-Man six
Okay, yeah.
times. Did Gringotts quite a lot, seven times.
Yeah,
Um,
nice.
Velocicoaster eight times. I know that's
Who are you?
honestly, I still can't quite believe it. I'm like, that can't be right. That's got to be a typo, surely. Apparently, I did it eight times, yeah, which is it's crazy, including the first ever front row, first ever night ride. It's crazy. So yeah, eight times. Did the
Good
Mummy
one.
eight times as well. Did Hagrid's 10 times.
Nice.
Men in Black 13 times, and then Monsters Unchained 14 times.
Good man. That single rider,
Oh,
unlike anything else, is it?
10 times on my final day.
And I mean that the ride itself is obviously fantastic. I don't think there's going to be many people argue with that.
So good.
But then just when you layer in that efficiency on top, it like
That's what I
takes it even to the
mean.
next level.
That's what I mean. Like I'm kind of glad that it's not the other way around. I'm kind of glad it's not Battle of the Ministry that blew me away because trying to get on that is a nightmare. So no, I'm very pleased.
So we'll wrap up this week's episode here. Any idea at this point what podcast might be released next week?
So I'm looking to do an episode with Cassie and Kenny again about their most recent Epic trips because they went in previews and then they've also been since it's fully open. So going to see if anything's changed in their thoughts about Epic Universe and the rides and attractions there. And then, like we've mentioned previously, I'm open to do an episode about me becoming a coaster fanatic now. So that'll be hopefully an interesting one. I don't know, especially for people that are trying to overcome it as well. I want to try and help other people if they want to. Again, no pressure at all from me because I've been there. Um, but that'll be a good one. So I think that's the next 2 weeks, and then as you know, Sam, we've got a long list. So I think we've covered for a few months at least.
For a while. Good stuff. Well, nice to hear about the trip, Jay. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.